Hello there, Eagles fans, and welcome back to our Eagles Therapy Podcast. I'm Basil.
And I'm Baz.
And we are recording Thursday, October 31st. Happy Halloween to you all. I know you'll be watching this November 1st, so happy November. Happy finally getting into the real holiday season and everything, but hope you enjoyed your Halloween and everything, and the football game that was going to be tonight, Houston and the Jets. How are we feeling today, Dad?
Feeling pretty good. I mean, it's Halloween. It's cool. We had a little snow here yesterday. The grass was all covered with snow, so we're in fall. I don't know about Philly. I know it was 80 degrees there today, so Phoenix, I think it was cooler in Phoenix, like 79 there.
Oh, my gosh, that's
78.
crazy. That's wild, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But
it's cooling down.
Yeah. Coming up this weekend, Eagles and Jaguars are going to be playing Sunday, 2:05 p.m. We're going to be watching at Rhinos, I think, again. Had some good turnout. We talked about it last week. We had 47 people. We'll be talking about that game and kind of going into some other matchups and everything like that, as always, but let's just get into it. Eagles-Jags, originally this was the Sunday night game. Got flexed into the 2:05. We kind of called it. We had a feeling a couple weeks ago. Once they flexed the Bengals game to be 11, we were kind of like, well, I bet they'll flex the Jags game out of Sunday night because it's
okay by me.
I'm good with it. Yeah, no, it's just it stinks because I wonder. We talk about this off screen, but I wonder how does it work, and if you know, how does it work as far as I'm an Eagles fan who lives in Colorado Springs, and what if I'm going to the Eagles game, the Sunday night football game that I bought tickets to already, and now it's a 2:25 game, and I know if you're smart with traveling, you're not going to travel the day of the game because of things like that, but still well, that kind of stinks,
change your plans. You might not get to see Aunt Joni.
Yeah, because it's just, my intent, last year we went to the Eagles-Dolphins game. It was the first Kelly Green game, much like this one is this year. And it's just what if you're like, oh, yeah, Sunday Night Football, I get to be there for the Kelly Green game. Well, now it's at 2:20, now it's 2:05. It just, I don't know, it kind of throws a wrench into the plans. My intention, I said probably for the rest of my life when I go see an Eagles game in the Link, I'm probably going to just go to Sunday night games. That's kind of what, good or bad, I kind of want to go to the Sunday night games.
Miss all the other games, plus you're the only game on in town.
It just makes it cooler, and everyone's it makes it a thing. If it's on Sunday at a 1 o'clock game, I know Philly is one of the cities that has the fan base that will, they're going to be at the game instead of church. You know what I mean? They're one of those fan bases. They're one of those cities.
And from church right to the game.
Exactly. They're that type of fan base. Sure. But still, it's I feel like there's situations where 1 o'clock on a Sunday, anything could be happening. But at 8:20 on a Sunday, it's 6:20 for us here, but 8:20 p.m., no. There's
one
thing happening in this city, and it's the Eagles game, and that goes for all teams, across the board. If you're a Cleveland Browns fan, if you're Pittsburgh Steelers, if you're Arizona Cardinals, it's just weird how they flex that game. How does that work? That stinks. But
at least they did it in advance. I don't know how much advance they have to do.
Yeah, I don't know.
We knew about it at least last week.
Yeah, so it's 2 weeks ago, I guess. Yeah, or 2 weeks in advance. But
we knew it was going to happen because the Jags,
Yeah, I had a feeling. But okay, sorry. Let's get back to it. So playing at 2:05, 4:05 back east. The first Kelly Green game of the season, of course, like I mentioned, going to be fun. You got a Kelly Green jersey you're going to be wearing, or?
Nah, well, I do.
You have the Randall one.
I'll have to wear my seasonal shirt underneath.
Yeah, so have to. No changing shirts, you guys. Dad, you got a weather report for the game?
Yeah, it's going to be 61 degrees, 5 to 10 miles per hour winds, so it's not going to be bad. No rain in the forecast. It's like I say, it was 80 today, but it's going to be 61, low of 40. So they've already had some pretty good cold there already too, but weather's up and down. So, but it should be a great fall night. Bring a little jacket with you, maybe, and your Eagles hoodie, whatever you're wearing.
That's kind of what it was like last year when we went to the game. We went to the Week 7 game last year, so it was October 22nd.
It was cold.
We were there, and it was I wore a long sleeve shirt underneath my seasonal shirt because I was like,
it was kind of wet too. It hadn't rained, but it just had that wet feel.
Humidity, or not humidity, but the moisture in the air.
Yeah, it didn't. It was chilly. And then of course, when you get out of there till 11 o'clock at night.
Oh yeah, it was great. Yeah, and this will be different because it's going to be in the sun. 2:05. It'll be sunny out instead of pitch black, which will make the Kelly Green. It's funny. The last 2 years we've had Kelly Green. We played on Sunday night. The last 2 years. Last year when we had Kelly Green, we wore it. We wore it on Sunday night and Monday night. So we've only seen it at nighttime games, primetime games. So that's why they chose this game, of course. But now that it's a 2:05, we'll see what they look like in the sun.
In the daytime, yeah.
Eagles, all-time series leaders against the Jacksonville Jaguars, 4-3-0, only 7 matchups. In the last 25 years, we are only 4-2, so only one game has been played outside the last 25 years, and that was in 1997. So 27 years. So
right, yeah.
So 27 years of playing them. We've gone 4-3. We've won the last 4 after they beat us the first 3 times. Kind of funny to think.
Yeah, it's funny because they were an expansion team, right, in the 90s.
In 97, yep.
And they beat us, like you said, three straight times
earlier. But yeah, we played them the first time in 97. But yeah, they beat us 3 straight times, and then we've won the last 4.
Usually it doesn't work that way. Yeah. But the Jags were pretty good right away. I mean, they went to an AFC Championship game one of their early years.
Okay.
They had a really good quarterback.
Yeah. No, they went to the AFC Championship game in 2017, right? We almost played them in the Super Bowl.
That's true.
They lost to the Patriots in what was considered to be one of the more controversial games. They kind of had a lot of people thought the fix was in. I didn't watch that game. It was right before the Eagles won, and I didn't watch it.
There was a pass interference. I always bring it up right before halftime. That was a terrible pass interference against the Jags. The Jags were kicking butt. I think they were up 14-0 at the time. Oh, wow. And there was a pass down the sideline that they called. I still think it was a horrible call. And of course, then they made it 14-7 and ended up winning the game.
Yeah. Played them in 2018. You remember that game at all?
Yes.
Why can't I think of that game? Because we played them 2 years ago. The year one Super Bowl. We forced 2 fumbles on Lawrence.
Yeah, well, the big rainstorm in that game.
That was
even then, though, we were not doing great early.
We went down 14-0.
Yes.
One was a pick 6 by Hurts. I think it was his second interception of the season.
No, it was still Carson. Oh no, it wasn't.
No, it was 2022. It was
so 2018 was Hurts. I watched.
2018 was Wentz. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Let's get it together. But I did watch the highlights of that game. We ended up winning. It was pretty tight.
We beat them 24-18. Why can't tell me the game? I never forget games ever. What? Tell me the game.
We had
who'd they play? Bortles.
I can't remember.
They had to have played Blake Bortles because he was their quarterback in 18, right?
Yeah, I think
I have the box score.
Pull it up
but I'm like, whoa,
we did really well. Our defense was pretty good. But we were down in that game too, I think. But yeah, like I said, I was watching the highlights. I was working, so I kind of had it on over there just to.
Yeah, the biggest one I remember from them was the 34-17 game we beat them in 2014. We went down 17-0 at halftime.
Oh,
and then
right.
we won 34 straight points
that game
and won the game. But I can't remember for the life of me this 2018 season.
It was a slow start again. We weren't doing very well early on.
I clicked the box office button. It didn't work. Box office. I clicked the box score. It didn't work at all.
I forget who our running back was. Number 33 at the time.
Oh, Josh Adams and Jordan Matthews had 4 receptions for 93 yards.
Goddard had a nice touchdown.
I don't remember this game
in the middle of the field.
I don't remember this game at all. I'm going to have to watch it.
Wentz threw a pick in the end zone early, which was awful.
Oh, it was in London.
Yeah.
It was in London. I'm sorry. Okay. It was a 7:30 game.
Go.
I was living in Nebraska at the time.
Gotcha.
I had to wake up at 7:30, 6:30 in the morning to watch the game.
Yeah.
And I remember that now. Okay, yeah. He threw a pick on the first drive. We had Josh Adams as our running back, and we still had Corey Clements and everything. But after that, Hurts was great. And that was Wentz. Wentz was great. And that was kind of the moment, it was the year after we won the Super Bowl, and he kind of came back, and he was rough early on, and we were like, okay. And that was his first game, really, that we were like, oh, man, he threw that pick. That was rough.
Yeah.
But after that, he had some Wentz-like plays and everything. And
he had some good pass plays.
We thought, man, he's back. And we were wrong. But, okay, sorry. So we could talk about that. That was our favorite memories of the last matchup. So let's go ahead and go into our players to watch. Who do you have as your player to watch going into this game?
I've got Cooper DeJean. I thought last week's game he was emerged as a star for us, I think. We'll see if it can continue. But, man, 3 weeks now in a row, he's been great. The defense has responded to him. So I'm just going to keep my eye on him and see what he can do.
Yeah,
hopefully we can get some picks. It was close last week, but
at least we finally got someone who got an interception that wasn't Reed Blankenship, right?
Oh, what a beautiful
C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Yes. And great job by Rodgers. I know we can't talk about how great that game was. It's funny. It started off so slow, 10-10 at the half, and we're like, oh, my gosh, again, here we go. And then it's just blew the doors off. It's hilarious how that happens. But
it was an ugly start. Burrow came out like everybody said he was going to do, and he just run right down the field, 17-plus play drive. They scored. It looked pretty easy. They were getting every third down. But after that, probably mid-second half,
defense turned it on, man.
Kind of took it over, yeah.
Speaking of which, they scored that touchdown on the first drive against my guy, Nolan Smith. I'm picking Nolan Smith as my guy to watch in this next game. We talk about him a lot, and the media's probably talked about him a lot in Philly as well.
Oh, yeah.
Nolan Smith, 2.5 sacks last 3 games. So last 3 games he's had 1 or half a sack in each one, which is good to hear because a lot of times people say, oh, he's got 5 sacks in the last 8 games, and you're like, well, that's, those are scattered, you know what I mean? He's got 2.5 in the last 3, and each game is 1.
He's
not
gotten
2.5 in 1. 2.5 in 3.
He's got in the book every the last
exactly.
He's got a sack,
and it's great to see. This is a guy we really want to succeed. We spent a lot of capital on it with that first round pick, late first round pick for him.
Yep.
We knew he'd be a project. We knew he'd be developmental, but
we're still impatient.
We're an impatient fan base. That's just how it is.
We know it. Yeah.
What do you want from me?
Yeah. I want him to start. I want him to be the best player in the league right away.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm happy to see where he's at. We hope to see him keep on going. Let's get into the matchup. So we'll start with the defense, actually, since we're leading off with you chose Cooper and I chose Nolan Smith. Let's start with the defense, and I'll start with even my guy, the defensive line versus the offensive line. So one of the biggest matchups this game, of course, going to be the D-line versus the offensive line. The Jacksonville Jaguars just traded away their starting left tackle, Cam Robinson, to the Minnesota Vikings. They lost Christian Darrisaw. So they traded him to the Vikings. So they're going into this game without their starting left tackle. This trade just happened yesterday, not last week.
Wow, so that's disruptive to an offensive line.
Absolutely. I mean, this just happened yesterday, so he was in practice, Monday, Tuesday. You know what I mean? So it is a big deal. So, Nolan Smith, he's going to be facing this guy, maybe Josh Sweat sometimes too, Brandon Graham, all that. So the defensive line against his offensive line, some big names on the offensive line, not too many. We know the name. I'm sure you've heard the name Ezra Cleveland before. Brandon Scherf is the big one we've heard of.
Oh, yeah.
Big in Washington for quite a few years. Yes. But this is a team that, we should get pressure against. I know there's times that we don't. We say that we should do that. What do you think again, defensive line?
It's another quarterback who's a young gun now. He's been in the league many years now, but he came in, looked like he was going to be one of the best guys around. And I don't think it's really come to fruition for him yet. He's had some good games and some bad games, but hopefully we can put the pressure on him. Kind of like Burrow, I think in the same vein where he was a high draft pick, was supposed to be the savior of the team. It looked like his rookie year that he was going to do that because he came out of the box pretty hot, but I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be the guy out there because it just hasn't. I don't know his records. I don't know how many interceptions he's got, but he still is a good passing quarterback, very accurate. Used to run in college a lot. I don't know if he's running much now, but
so you say we should see a lot of pressure on the defense.
I think we should definitely be able to pressure him and not let him have some time to sit back there and pick us apart. Yeah. Of course, he's missing a lot of wide receivers too.
Definitely. Well, let's go to the next thing.
Be the hard part.
Our defensive backs versus their wide receivers. So obviously, we know that Christian Kirk's out for the season. Christian Kirk being a guy from not from Phoenix, but from Arizona that we knew about when I was in high school and everything. He was a grade above me, so kind of knew about him when I was in high school and everything.
He was a monster.
He was great. I wanted us to draft him. I think we drafted Goddard instead of him.
I remember we watched him when he first started playing in college, Texas A&M, and first game he had like a punt return touchdown against ASU. Against ASU,
and watching back then,
he was an incredible player. Still is.
So they've got a lot of injuries there. Going into the game, Gabe Davis, he was listed as questionable. Brian Thomas Jr. questionable. Now Brian Thomas Jr. of course been incredible in his rookie season. Let's see, I think he got 33 catches, 573 yards, and 5 touchdowns.
Pretty good for a rookie.
Pretty darn good for a rookie. 23rd pick overall, I believe. They got a good 2 guys there with Gabe Davis and Brian Thomas, but definitely still banged up. All of them listed as questionable. They've gone through a lot of injuries recently. And our defensive backs, we always talk about, you never want to be doing this. Yeah. When you're in the middle of the season, you never want to be doing a Cowboys, I should say. You never want to be going downhill. And what our defensive backs, as of right now, since the bye week, it's going up. A pretty good Cleveland game, a really good Giants game, and then an incredible Bengals game. So what do you think about wide receivers, defensive backs, what you're looking for there?
Well, I'm looking for some picks. I'd love to see an interception, but I would just want to see the tight coverage like we've seen. Yeah. We're not letting the quarterbacks sit back there or do that 1-2-3 throw, which has been drive me nuts. When
the Baker Mayfield.
Cooper started to come out and started tightening up coverage, and I think defensively Vic has changed it and said let's play some tight coverage here and give the line some chances to move the quarterback around, get them off their mark so they can't sit there and pick us apart. And we haven't seen it really for the last 2 or 3 weeks. Burrow early on the game if you notice, we were playing a little soft coverage, but after a while, you could see we just tightened the coverage up, and then they really didn't get the sacks, but he was pressured all day long. And he was throwing, inaccurate passes after a while. There was a too high, too low.
Absolutely.
Early on, he was picking us apart, but like I say, by that mid-second quarter, it changed, it dried up, and you could see the frustration. They had a good drive in the third quarter, but by then we were already on our offensive roll, so they had to do what they had to do. So
you want to see just a lot of tight coverage going in for the defensive.
I think so, yeah. And let's not let them throw the quick stuff so they can get the first downs, and hopefully we can put them in third and long like we did last week, but not let them get them because we let them get them too much last week.
Last matchup I have for the defense, looking forward to the linebackers. So linebackers, I guess say linebackers and safeties, really whoever's covering the tight end. So last week, the tight end really had the most yards against us and picked us apart in Mike Gesicki, our former Penn State guy. So what do you think this week as far as the linebackers and tight end? They got a pretty good tight end there with Evan Ingram. Not great,
yes,
but good. He's above average. He's in the top 15 probably in the league.
I would say overall, if you were to talk about the Eagles' defense, the tight ends do really well against them, but that's not true. If you go traditionally through the season, I know they have not been bad against tight ends, but last week was not very good for us. So maybe that's something they're going to look to expose, maybe. But hopefully we can, get some tight coverage on somebody or have somebody cover the tight end a little bit more than we did last week. Because Gesicki was open a lot, but he made some great plays too.
He did. And what would you do with Evan Ingram? Being a faster sort of tight end, which is kind of what Gesicki is. Gesicki's a big guy too, but Evan Ingram kind of more so known for his pass catching and his speed as a tight end.
Right.
Would you rather see safeties on him or linebackers like Sidney Brown, or would you stack him with Nakobe Dean, or what do you think in there?
Yeah, I think you're probably going to have your linebackers testing him, but hopefully we can get somebody to hit him off the line because he's going to be tight in the line and get our defensive end there just to give him a little push on the way off the line, slow him up, and get in there and get the quarterback. Yeah. That's what I would do, but
I get you. Let's go to the offensive matchup. So, number one, let's go our wide receivers versus their defensive backs. So, not a lot of named players for their defensive backs. This is a team you can throw against. They've got Ronald Darby, a name that a lot of Eagles fans will know. If you remember Ronald Darby being on the Super Bowl team, think about Darby. His first year with us, I think he had like 3 or 4 interceptions. 3 interceptions, I think, with us, and that's after he had some injuries in 2017. After that, not a big interception guy. He has not had an interception since 2019, since he played for the Eagles. That's 47
He's had
47 starts since he's had an interception, which is kind of feels impossible. You know what I mean?
You think a tipped pass
just like one, one would happen at some point.
We're talking 4 seasons, 3.5 seasons worth of games there.
I mean, 2019. So 2021,
12,
3, 4. I mean, that's
47 divided by
5 years. I know what you're right. You're right.
That's true.
47 games.
But he kind of fell off after he left us anyway.
I'm surprised to see he's still in the league sometimes. Last year he was on a good Baltimore Ravens defense, and you're like, wait, did they say Ronald Darby? He's on one of the best defenses? That's crazy.
And he played well, I thought.
He did, just no interceptions. But Andre Sisco, another big name for them as a strong safety. He's been a bit of a ball hawk in his career. I think he had 5 picks last year. So what do you want to see with the wide receivers versus their defensive backs? What do you think this is a team we can attack it?
I think so. I think we're going to go mid-range passes early, kind of like we did last week, where we were kind of mad that they hadn't used that middle of the field. Use that and then expand it from there. Of course, use Calcaterra again like we have. I think he's been great. I'd like to say pass the ball to the wide running backs, but we don't do that no matter what. Even though they talk about how our 2 backs are great out of the backfield, it doesn't.
Feels like it's rarely happened.
One a game.
Check the receiving yards for our.
It's very low
for our running backs.
Barkley won a game. Maybe Gainwell won a game. They talk about it, but it's just not.
So Barkley's got 17 catches on the year, 106 yards, 1 touchdown. Of course, the big one being the Green Bay one in the first game. So 17 for 106, 17 in 7 games. So you're right. It's more than 1 a game, but it's still not much. 2.5 a game. And then Kenny Gainwell, only 4 catches for 33 yards. Yeah. So, you're right. The running backs haven't been used in the pass game as much this year as we'd like to see.
Especially since our offense, our wide receiver 3 got 7 catches on the season. So
that's brutal, man.
Yeah,
that's so hard to see.
I'm surprised Barkley has that many. He must have had 1 game where he got 5 or 6 receptions.
Probably. It might have been the Green Bay game, honestly.
Because they had just, 1 last week. I think 1 for 3 last week. So
receiving. Early on, Barkley had 2 in the first game, 4, 4, 2, 2, 2, 1.
Yeah.
So he kind of dropped off in the pass game there a little bit.
I mean, I'd love to see it, but then, of course, as long as it's not that out pass, a screen pass be okay. But I'd rather see a downfield type quick pass, where he goes out in the flat and you hit him while he's running downfield, not standing still.
Which does bring me to my next matchup, actually, is our running back versus their linebackers. A pretty good linebacker group.
They got good linebackers.
Yeah, they got a pretty good linebacker group up there. Not, Pro Bowl, all pros, all that sort of stuff. But Aluakon, I don't want to try to say his first name. He's been pretty strong this year. Devin Lloyd has been a pretty good linebacker in his career. And then I don't know really the name of Chad Muma very much.
Yeah, one of their linebackers is a tackle machine, kind of like N'Kobe's been 10, 12 tackles a game. I'm not sure of his name. I think it might have been that one with the rough early first name, but I know they have a guy up there that's got a lot of tackles.
I have the league leaders and tackles, and I don't see his name. So, I don't know what he's doing. Yeah. I think it's Aluakon, though. I think you're right. It's pretty. It's a strong linebacker group. I don't want to say it's a great.
It's a good run support linebacker.
That's the thing,
because hope if we can run the ball, that'd be great. But
absolutely. Well, the last 4 weeks or 3 weeks, we've heavily resorted on the run. Jalen hasn't had to throw the ball as much. We always talked about it on this pod. We don't ever want to see him throw more than 25 times a game unless it's absolutely necessary. And this is kind of one of those games that. I don't know. This isn't a great team that we're playing against. It's really not even I wouldn't even say a good team, but you can't, you can't get distracted in that.
But the biggest thing is you get an early lead on a team that's 2-6. They're going to slump.
That's true.
Their shoulders are going to drop, and they're going to say, "What am I doing out here on the field?"
So against the rush, they're pretty good. They're 9th on defense, 111. Okay. That's 9th, but they're 31st in passing.
So that's what you want to do is throw the ball,
definitely,
and mix in the run after they got to drop back to cover the pass.
So that's a good linebacker group and a pretty good run-stopping group, which takes me to the last matchup for our offense, our O-line versus their defensive line. Obviously, still going into this game without Jordan Mailata, but Fred Johnson last week really held his own. We'll see about Mekhi Becton if he's available. But again, last week, Tyler Steen really held his own. This is a good defensive line that we're coming against, though. Josh Allen, now his name is Josh Hines Allen. It's kind of funny. I remember when he was just Josh Allen, and at first when he was a rookie, they were saying, the other Josh Allen. Right. And then I looked him up, and I'm like, he's a 2-time Pro Bowler. Like, he's not really the other Josh Allen. Pretty good, actually.
He's really good.
Josh Hines Allen, defensive end there. He's been there for quite a long time, since 2019. Let's see, on his sacks this year, I think I had him pulled up, but then I just lost him right now. I'm sorry. But, he's been pretty good in his career. Like I said, 2-time Pro Bowler, 3 sacks this year. So not unbelievable. Half a sack against the Packers last week. But still, it's a guy going against a backup defensive line. Back-to-back weeks, we're playing against, I really should say, underrated defensive linemen with Trey Hendrickson last week and Josh Hines Allen this week.
Right.
But on the other side, lining up on the other side is the Georgia Bulldog, Trayvon Walker.
He's an early draft pick.
Oh, yeah.
Big player, big name.
Out of Georgia, played with our guys, Carter and Davis and Nolan Smith and N'Kobe Dean.
He's a little mad he didn't get drafted by the Eagles.
I wonder. But he's got all the money now. He's making a lot of money over there. And the last thing that they got Eric Armstead, another big name on that defensive line, used to be on the Niners. He was an early pick as well in his career.
Remember him.
Former first-round pick with 33.5 sacks in his career. Not this season. I'm not saying that. But he's he's a pretty consistent player. I don't think he's lived up to his first-round hype. Only 1 sack this year. But this is a defensive line that, if against an injured offensive line, could do something. What do you think?
Well, I wonder what's going to happen. I saw that Becton did practice in a limited today, but that's Thursday. You still got tomorrow, which is the official injury report.
Yes.
But I mean, personally, I wouldn't mind keeping Tyler out there for another game.
I'm with you.
Why not? I mean,
I'm with you.
Why push a guy back? Like, he's got had the concussion, so it wasn't like it was a knee or a hamstring or anything like that. But I mean, the guy's played great the last 2 weeks. I mean, great, not just good. I think I read a stat about Tyler where he had given up 0 pressures and 0 sacks and whatever else in the last couple of weeks that he's filled in for Becton. So, of course, Becton is great, and going forward, where are we going to go? We don't know. But, if he's feeling 100%, maybe put him out there.
I'll say this.
Keep that consistency.
Yeah, let me ask you this. If Becton's out this week, and I think he's a full participant, so he'll probably play. But say if Steen played this week and he played just as well as he had the last 2.5 weeks, 1.5 week, and the Saints game earlier this year when he had to come in, when he has done all that, what are the chances? What is the percentage they move forward with Steen?
Well, I mean, he's the young guy. He's on not rookie contract still. He's got 2 more years, I think.
Yes, the second year right now.
So, I mean, and Becton's, 25, 26?
Still a young dude, but yeah, I think so.
I don't know. I mean, they talked about maybe having to pay Becton next year, but
Becton only 25. Man, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy. He's been in the league 5 years. He's only 20. I mean,
that is, and this is his first year at Stout. So
that's true. I know,
and he's got the size and the everything else. I don't know. That's a really tricky one because
Tyler Steen's 24.
Both players want to play. I don't know. I always
the young guy.
The young guy. I always do that because. First of all, you don't have to pay him. Not that you're cheap, but you don't want to have to, break the bank for a guy who maybe reverts to where he was, where Tyler Steen's up.
He's on the incline. Yeah.
Becton's been up and down in his career. I mean, the Jets just let him go. They didn't cut him. They just let him go. So
again, you can't underestimate they play with Stout. When they're getting coached by Stoutland, it's like sometimes it hasn't worked out, but most times they go uphill.
It's a bad situation. Maybe he hated New York. Maybe he just didn't like their offense.
Who wouldn't?
I'm just saying, there's more factors than that. Maybe I don't know if he's married. Maybe his wife hated New York. There's things to it. And then, hey, I like this Philly thing. Oh, these guys really like you. They want you, man. You're doing good. And now you're 5-2. It's a bit,
change things. I know.
It really does change things. So I mean, that's one of the things. I heard him talking about today were some players that the trade deadline's coming up, as we know, and they talk about some players. You trade for a player and then he comes to your team and it doesn't work out. Well, it's not just because of his talent; it's because he's got to pick up his family and move his kids out of the school. So I mean, there's things to that. There's other things. These guys are humans just like we are, and that's why a player may prosper in a new city or not. Yeah. So anyway,
but I'm in the belief if Steen had to play and he played well as he has been, I don't think you don't break what's not what is the word?
Right.
Don't
I lost it. Fix what you can't break. Don't break what you can't fix.
If it's not broke, don't fix it. That's it. Jeez, that was hard, man. How many Eagles fans does it take?
That's a go.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Nice.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So it's kind of like if Steen plays really well and Johnson and him have played together before, maybe he likes having him there.
Becton was great too when he was playing.
That's the thing.
So that's up to the coach.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, but
it is.
Man, I don't know. There's no way to really push it. Which game? So Saquon had one of his career highs or near his career high against the Giants.
Right.
Becton was playing. He got hurt in that game.
Yes, he did.
So
pretty early in that game.
So Steen was in for the domination of the.
Remember, he got a concussion early. We're like, how'd you get a concussion? It's the first quarter.
Yeah. So that was the big Steen game. So maybe he is better.
Becton might have got hurt on a monster block. That's
true. I couldn't tell you.
Sprung him for an 80-yard.
I unfortunately don't know which play he got hurt on.
Yeah.
Speaking of hurt, let's go ahead and go into injuries. So our injury report for Thursday, Mekhi Becton was a full participant, so we should expect to see him out there. He was limited on Wednesday, so he made his way back and trending upward. Jalen Carter, full participant with his shoulder. He's kind of been on the injury report the last 2-3 weeks.
Just rest.
They have to designate something.
Just rest.
Landon Dickerson with his
same
thing, did not participate. Was a limited participant today, so they're just taking it easy there.
That's right.
Goddard, this is the big one. He didn't participate Wednesday, he didn't participate Thursday. It's hard to.
How many games is that now? 3, 4?
No, 2. He left the Giants game very early in the Giants game.
All right. But he's on injured reserve.
He left like the first drive of the Giants game. Remember?
And we were like, how did that happen?
Yeah, that was weird. He's not an injured reserve. No, he's just on the list.
Okay.
And then Albert O, our tight end, he's
I don't understand what's that. I don't even know why he's on the list.
And then Slay, this is a big one to look at. Didn't participate Wednesday or Thursday, and it's his groin injury, and he's had some knee, groin, leg, ankle, just kind of up and down this season. And you wonder, like, at some point, do you kind of like last year, maybe give him a couple weeks?
It's funny though. I'm going to say because in the one game. After a play, he made a good play. It looked like his knee was hurt, but then like 2 or 3 plays or drives later, he made a great play, and I went, I thought he was, and he wasn't.
I think it was a Giants game.
Yeah,
it was a Giants game
because he
he came back,
and not just came back, but he made a great play.
Last week he left and did not come back.
He did leave,
which I think which we don't know. They could have been. Hey, he can't come back, or hey, we're
winning.
We don't need it. Rodgers just had the greatest play of the day.
Right.
Let's just give it. Which is likely impossible. That's what happened in the Saints game, kind of. So I don't know. I wonder.
Well,
I wonder if you kind of give him a 2-week little, not 2-week, because next week we got Dallas, correct? Or no?
Yes.
Is it Washington?
Yeah, no, Dallas. Then Washington's Thursday night. Yeah.
So right here. So next week we got Dallas. So maybe
that's a late game.
Maybe give Slay this week off. I don't know. Maybe give him let's take it easy a bit. Let's see what Rodgers and Ringo got. They're pretty good. They're playing pretty well.
You could start him and see how he's doing, and depending on what happens. But
hopefully you go up 24-0.
Again, I'd like to see us get Rodgers, who hadn't played last season and has played very limited this year. Ringo, Ricks. I just want to see these guys play, and especially with the newfound DBs that we have, with Cooper and Quinion and what we've seen happen with Bond. And I mean, just there's too much. You don't want to hold them back. Let's go. If Slay is injured, it looks like Maddox has been down a little bit. He's not got the speed, and it changed. We changed what we do, and then all of a sudden we look that much better. I don't know. Maybe it's time to keep experimenting, right?
Maybe.
Not maybe right away. Get up 14, something like that. But
we get it. Okay, let's go ahead. And before we get into trade talks, we want to talk about the trade deadline coming up. I want to give a reminder to all of our listeners and viewers to like and subscribe. And if you comment down below, maybe give us your score prediction for the Eagles-Jags game this weekend. Let us know what you're thinking, what you're looking forward to, what's your matchup of the week, all that sort of stuff. And we'd like to... we want to be able to kind of interact with our audience a little more and kind of maybe read some comments on the video and everything and address them and all that sort of stuff. So, drop us a comment, send us an email, let us know anything, but don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get into the trade talk. So let's start off with what we both think. I don't think the Eagles are going to make a trade.
I don't either. All these names and you see all this stuff, it's all clickbait, just trying to get you on there. I'm sure WIP's talking about who we're going to get, Max Crosby or Garrett.
I was going to say the big positions that they've talked about is number one, defensive end. They've been pushing for defensive end or edge rusher, and the big names of Garrett and Max Crosby, which it makes sense. They're teams that aren't.
What are you giving up for that?
But that's the thing.
2 number ones. I don't
see the worth in that, especially, and it's hard because it's so funny with football. You could be so right or so wrong by one thing you say.
Oh, for sure.
So you could say right now, what the defensive ends are doing great. Sweat, he's got 3 sacks in the last 4 games.
Right.
Nolan Smith, 2.5 in the last 3. Milton Williams doing good. He's a tackle, I know. But the defensive line altogether, Brandon Graham, Bryce Huff starting on the incline. And it's kind of like, see, that they're on the ascent. But in 8 weeks, we could go,
why didn't
because that's, like last year, we would have said, we're not making a trade.
Right.
Sweat and Reddick. It's great. And then by the end of the year, it was, oh, my God.
Last 7 games, no sacks.
Defensive ends can't do anything. Our defensive line. So it's funny, you can say one thing, and what I'm going to say, I think our defensive ends are on a rise, and they're young, aside from Brandon Graham, I know. But, he's playing well. He's playing well. They're on the ascent. Why ruin it? Hopefully I'm not wrong, but that's how I feel right now. I don't think we need a defensive end.
Plus, you got the money in Josh Huff. You got Jalen Hunt. Yeah. These guys have all – Hunt obviously hasn't played much, but you know what I mean? We just have these guys that we need to keep –
You need a Yang
out there. Yeah. We need them out there. I mean, so plus, what are you going to give up? We've already given up. We don't really even have a lot of picks next year, and you got to continue that grind.
Which leads into the next topic, the still on the trade, but the other position kind of talking about is a third wide receiver. And it's really difficult because it's like, well, we already made that trade.
Right. Give up a third.
Hasn't worked so well for us right now, which is it's confusing and it's a bummer. And it's, like I said, man, it feels like this team is cursed by third wide receivers, which I mean if we're going to be cursed, that's one thing. I'd rather be cursed that way than
than your first or second one.
Exactly, but it just feels like with our number 3 wide receivers, last year we had Quez and Julio and Olamide Zaccheaus, and it's like, oh my gosh, like any one of them as the 3 is good, and all 3 of them as the 3 was not good, And then same thing the year before. Quez Watkins the year before when he was a number 2 in 2021, he was great. 2021 he was good. In 2022 when he was the number 3, it wasn't good. It wasn't working.
1 or 2 here.
Before that, Jalen Reagor was the number 3 because we had to make Quez Watkins the number 2, and he was terrible. And before that, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside was the number 3. It was just, and Jalen Reagor came on. Jalen Reagor came onto this team as the number 3, I believe, when he was drafted. So it's just, man, it's brutal. It's really.
I wouldn't want to trade for a 3. I mean, I still haven't seen enough of Johnny Wilson out there.
That's true.
Who, I mean, he kind of dropped off the map.
But he had gotten hurt a little bit. And
he was being used early, and he's 6 foot whatever, and,
Yeah, we'll see if Anaya Smith kind of becomes something. I don't know.
4th round pick. I mean,
when is Covey supposed to come back? 2 more games?
Yeah, Covey broke something, right? Did he break his shoulder or something?
I know a lot of people are going to say, well, Britton Covey's not going to, it's fair, but
you don't need, all we need is 20 to 30 to 30, 35 yards.
Plus, doesn't Covey have more yards than Dotson this year? So don't talk to me about Covey, all right?
He does.
Maybe he doesn't. He's got 76 yards. Yeah. Dotson's got
35.
I mean,
7 catches for 35 yards.
That's not cool, dude. No. That's not cool.
5 yards a carry. He's got the one big 10-yard play that he made on that first down.
That was a good game. Good play.
A great drag of feet. He got in.
Yeah, got in.
Use him a little more. I don't know. Maybe he's not looking at him.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at his career. Covey only has 34. Dang it.
So he's down 1. Okay.
But he's got a long of 11. Covey only has
Dotson's
got a long 10. All right. So no, I'm just kidding.
I understand. They're probably, you're looking.
Oh, yeah.
You're looking. First, you're looking to AJ, you're looking to Devontae, then you're looking to Calcaterra, right? That's the 1, 2, 3. It seems like
right now.
But I mean, we just need some yards. We don't need 100. We need 30 to 40 yards, maybe.
25 yards a game.
Yes, that's all you need.
What's that in a season? 25 times 17.
That's 250, and then another
maybe more.
350, 400.
25 yards a game and give me 175.
Yeah,
just one every once in a while.
Dotson was a deep threat for Penn State, if you remember.
Yeah.
He was
in Washington.
Throw him deep.
I know. It's just confusing.
Keep the other 2 in and throw him deep. I don't understand it. But our offense, it seems like you always hear this, Hurts is you got to earn his respect or you got to earn his confidence or whatever.
Frustrating.
Well, let's get over that. Let's just throw the ball deep and see what happens.
Yeah. In the end, all in all, I don't think we're going to be making a trade this year. I know it's kind of been the thing going all around the media is how Howie Roseman's in-season trades haven't really worked, and they make a great point. And we don't have to go over every one because every other podcast and YouTube, TV, everything has talked about it. Yeah. But since Jay Ajayi, it's kind of been not so good.
Yeah, a lot of whiffs.
Let's talk about them all.
I agree.
I don't want to talk about them all. Let me ask you this, because there's been a debate here. And at the time, we kind of justified it because he caught a game-winning touchdown in the playoff game. Golden Tate.
Oh, no.
Was that a good move?
Terrible. 3rd round pick. Third? Was it? I thought it was 3rd. I always think it's 3rd.
I don't think it was a 3rd.
I don't know. I don't think it was worth it. He had one. He did have a lot of catches that year, which blew me away because I didn't think he had that many. But
28.
He had one big play in the playoff game.
Okay, I'm sorry. You're right. A 3rd round. 2019 3rd round.
That's a lot.
That was bad. It was bad.
You only had him for one.
Funny, if it was a 4th round, I would have been like, oh, that's great.
Yeah. No,
3rd round's bad. That's bad. Yeah. And he only played 8 games with us, 28 catches. Maybe 200.
But at the time, he was yards after catch. He was leading the league, and
I remember that.
Barely did anything. He had 2 good catches with us. One, he almost got his head taken off, and the other one was that touchdown, which was at the time. I would have given you a 3rd for that touchdown because we won the playoff game. It was awesome.
Yeah, 278 yards in 8 games with 30 catches for that's pretty good. Long of 32, only 1 touchdown in the regular season.
Yeah.
And
for a 3rd round pick who could still be on your team right now? Not really, but
he played until 2020, so he could have been with us 2 more years. But last 2 years he wasn't really. He wasn't.
Where's he at now?
Oh, he's done.
Okay.
He played in 2020. That was his last time.
Wow.
He hasn't played in a long time now.
Terrible.
But
terrible. Just in season.
All right, let's talk about some other games coming up this weekend. So, obvious one tonight, Texans-Jets, but that's an AFC matchup. Broncos going to be playing the Ravens in Baltimore. Big game for both sides. Ravens lost to the Browns last week.
And that's going to show you how good the Broncos are or not, because if they get beat again, I thought they were one of the best teams in the AFC again. In that last week's game, yes. Yeah. And then last week's game,
weird.
It was toe-to-toe, and it was Winston, but still, the Browns.
It was Winston.
When we beat the Browns, everybody made it sound like they were the worst team in the NFL.
It's true. It's a good point. I know they changed their quarterback, but guess what? They changed their quarterback to their second-string quarterback.
Right.
So, and as much as I would agree that I think Winston's better than Watson, which is kind of just a sad debate to have. Man, could you imagine being a fan of that team?
Yeah.
And I know we talk about we were Browns supporters because my mom and
family,
but I hate Watson, so we kind of cheer against him now. Imagine being a fan.
Yeah.
It's sad. I don't know.
You're right.
Another big NFC matchup going to be the Cowboys and the Falcons. So divisional versus pretty good team in the NFC. I know the Falcons beat us by the worst way possible. In our home stadium, of course. But hopefully they can kind of take it to the Cowboys in a better way, not just win by a last few minutes, win by a big margin. Really want to see this. I really want to see a big split in the division this weekend. You know what I mean? We beat the Jaguars. The Cowboys lose the Falcons. It would just be a nice little, another extra game, split, kind of put some separation, start to put them to bed, all that sort of stuff. That would be really nice. What do you think of the Falcons this year?
Well,
because they got destroyed by the Seattle last week.
Yes, and I watched a lot of that game. I watched them play us. I was fearful of our game with them because Cousins can be hot, especially early in the season. It was a primetime game, so I thought for sure he was going to lose because he never wins in a primetime game. But he did. We should have beat him. With that whole thing, we can beat that forever. But, I think they're pretty good. The young guys that have been around for a couple of years now, you got Pitts, you got Robinson. They got the pieces. And Cousins, he moves about as fast as a glacier, but doesn't matter. They give him good protection. He's an accurate quarterback.
Good line over there.
He can play.
Yeah. Another big divisional game, which is funny, the Commanders and Giants. Commanders and Giants can be playing each other. It feels like the Giants, they played the whole division, and they've played Washington twice now.
Yeah.
So they're almost done with the division, and they're about to be 0-4.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? We played one division game against them, of course.
It seems like the Commanders haven't had a break yet. They play every week. Yeah. So
it's just funny how it is with the Giants are playing their fourth divisional game, and all of us only had one. The Commanders having their second, of course. But just funny how the schedule works. I expect the Commanders to kind of win that one. You'd love to see them lose so that we can kind of start catching up.
Last time it was close, but I think you got two teams on two different trajectories there.
Yeah, and it's funny because we're not behind them in the division, but they played one extra game, so they're ahead. Yes. But it's like, well, no,
After last week's game, which was a crusher.
That sucked. Terrible. That happened. You guys, if you watched that game, that Hail Mary happened live while we were recording, and that was awful.
A little bit, yeah.
Speaking of the other team on the other side of that, the Bears are going to be going to Arizona and play the Cardinals.
What do you think of the Bears?
The Bears, you said it. You think they're kind of phonies, and I don't trust them
too. But everybody's jumping the bandwagon. Everybody's picking them to win this and that in the beginning of the season. I haven't seen it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I know this is an Eagles podcast, but last week when they lost to the Commanders on the Hail Mary, to me, and I think I told you off screen, the Hail Mary, if the Bears had lost, if the Commanders, if the Bears had lost by the Hail Mary, normally I would be like, oh, that sucks, that's too bad.
It happens.
But the fact that the offensive lineman won, when they gave the ball to an offensive lineman, fumble at the end zone, that's when I was like, oh,
you deserve to lose.
You deserve to lose. That's horrible coaching.
And just to get back in that game was amazing.
Yeah, it wasn't like it was a offensive lineman who was a starter or knew how to do this no, it was just a guy
and it wasn't even a handoff. It was like a throw.
It was bad.
It was terrible.
From then on, I was like, oh man, they deserve to lose. Now I still wanted them to win because I wanted the Commanders to lose.
But you can't do that. You can't play that silly. You're up by 20. You can give it to the lineman.
If they had just scored a touchdown there normally with Swift in or Williams ran it in, and then they lost by Hail Mary, I'd be like, oh, that's too bad. But when they lost by Hail Mary after that. Yeah. The offensive lineman running that thing, I was kind of like, man,
should have scored there, and then they should have scored again, and they did. It's just ridiculous.
A lot of conference matchups here and divisional. Rams going to be playing the Seahawks. Another big game. The two teams that the Rams. The Rams are a weird thing.
So
Seahawks are 4-4. Yeah, it's up and down. And I guess we have been until the last three games. But the Rams 3-4. But now out of nowhere, they look like one of the scariest teams.
Yeah.
Their defense played pretty well. Their wide receivers are back, and they're terrifying. And their third wide receiver caught 2 touchdowns. They're a scary team now, and we have to play them in LA at some point.
3-4 weeks from now. Yeah.
And that's kind of one of my games on the horizon that I'm like, ooh, that sucks.
Sunday night game, I think.
It is. It's a Sunday night game in LA, and it's a long travel. It's not a good thing. The good thing is we play a Thursday night game before that.
Right.
So we play a Thursday night game, then we don't play again until the next Sunday. So that's nice, but man,
a mini bye for us.
Yeah, but man, I don't want to play the Rams right now. We'll see what happens in 4 weeks. There's a whole different team.
That's right.
But it's just they're a scary team. Next one, biggest one really of the weekend. Lions, Packers for their division right now. Both are 6-2. No, Lions 6-1, Packers 6-2. First and second in the NFC North. Big matchup here. I'm excited for that game. It stinks because it's at the same time as ours. That's what sucks about it, man.
It could be a statement game if the Packers can put it together, but the way the Lions looked the last few weeks. But again, you don't want to peak in October. You want to peak in December. And I say this all the time. Yeah, the Lions are, wow, they're the team. Wow, oh, yes, they are. They're 6-7-1, 6-1. Yeah, that doesn't translate when you get into December and you start playing in the cold weather. They're a dome team, too. Remember that. So
this is what stinks the most, though, about the flexing of the game. This could have been a perfect weekend. If we were the Sunday night game, we got the 11 o'clock games, we get to watch the Cowboys lose to the Falcons.
Right.
And then the afternoon games, we'd get to watch the Commanders, Giants, the Bears, Cardinals, the Rams, Seahawks, the Lions, Packers. I mean, that's all conference. That would be great. Like, we get to cheer for teams and stuff like that. Oh, I'm sorry, the Commanders are an 11 o'clock game. So we get to watch the Commanders and Cowboys lose at 11. Right. And then we get to watch the Bears, Cardinals, Rams, Seahawks, Lions, Packers in the afternoon. Right. But now we got to play at the same time. We can't watch those games, and I hate that. That's what sucks. This was good. This should have been a perfect weekend, but all good. Next thing, let's talk about some comments. So like we said, we want to interact a little bit more with our audience. So we're going to take some comments from our last week's episode and kind of talk about them, say who's commented them, and then just kind of say our thoughts on it. So JJ was our first comment. Shout out to JJ. So he commented, Jalen's timing during the game against the Bengals with his throws was impeccable. He said also the 4th and 1 Cooper DeJean stop was huge for momentum. Overall, phenomenal game.
Yes.
What do you got?
Well, that definitely is a great take because, Hurts was amazing. We've been on his back a little bit, but he was amazing, and I'm going to say it when he does well. He saw the field a lot better. I don't know if he got his glasses fixed or if he got his contacts cleaned or something, but he was seeing the field 10 times better than he has the first 4 or 5 games of the season. So that's amazing. Yes. So and Cooper DeJean just keeps getting better and better.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's been overstated probably in the media again, but that 4th and 1 stop can't be overstated.
Or Cooper DeJean. I'm not sure.
That 4th and 1 stop can't be overstated. It was just so good. It was awesome. It was just such a momentum
game saver. Game winner right there.
Next comment was my Uncle Mike, your brother. Shout out to Uncle Mike. The great thing about having a lead is getting the younger guys out on the field. It makes the whole team better. Completely agree. This is something we talked about back in 2020 and 2019 when we were going through injuries. We had all these guys playing, and this is what we had on Sunday.
The thing is, why do we have so many good offensive linemen? Because these guys have played now.
Yeah.
Steen played last year. Dickerson played for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Cam played a little bit, but not much.
His rookie year, he had to go in for an injured Brandon Brooks, and it made him, got him a lot of experience his rookie year, and now he's a full-time Pro Bowl starter.
Same with Mulata. You got to keep it up. That's why we talk about it. Who's going to play, Becton or Steen? Well, we want both of them to stay fresh and ready to play.
Mulata had to get thrown in because Dillard. That's right. Dillard got hurt. Yeah. That's crazy to think about.
That's how you do it.
He's right.
You have 7 or 8 offensive linemen that are ready to roll at any point.
And then shout out to our Jersey guy, Mike Roman. Said offensive line played really well. If that holds up, we have a real shot. And they said big upside for the momentum moving forward if we have a solid win over the Jags. And that's right. If we push this to 4-0 and hopefully Dallas loses to Falcons and they go 0-3, that makes the game in Dallas looks a lot better.
It's funny on this little run we've had after the bye. We can go 3-1. No, I was 4-0 the whole way, and now we need this game to go 4-0 in this little after run, and then continue to go, but continue to improve and get better.
Yep, absolutely. So thanks again to all those who commented. Shout out to you guys. We really appreciate it. Let's talk about some other sports. Just give me a quick one. Sixers, they're 1-3, not looking so good. Still don't have Embiid or Paul George. Nothing for baseball, nothing for the Phillies, but we can talk about baseball real quick. World Series just ended yesterday. Happy to see the Yankees lose. Sad to see the Dodgers win. It was one of those things. I don't like the Dodgers, but I hate the Yankees.
It was a great Yankees belly flop.
Absolutely.
That fifth inning, if you haven't seen it yet, look at the fifth inning. You'll say, what are you watching? The Little League World Series here. Yeah. Unbelievable, some of the plays they made in that game. At home. Wow. That was bad.
Makes it so nice. I hate the Yankees. It's great. And then Penn State, big game coming up on Saturday. As you're watching this tomorrow, as you're watching this or listening to this on Friday, they're going to be playing tomorrow on Saturday. It's very exciting. It's number 3 versus number 4. We have a big chance. I think we're at home, right? Yeah, at home against Ohio State. So Yeah, man, this
we do the whiteout with the
this should be the whiteout
1,000 plus.
But it is frustrating because, and I talked about it with some people, it's the 10 o'clock game. And it's like, well, number 3, number 4, why
is it noon?
Why is it the noon kickoff?
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't you want the
2:30?
Like, they don't want the whiteout game on primetime TV. Like,
it is weird.
It would be amazing. Not the 2. Give me the.
You're talking 5:30 at night. Yeah,
the 5:30.
Yeah.
Give me the real one. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And it stinks because I was talking to Steve. Like, oh, hey, Saturday, you want to watch the Penn State game? And he's like, oh, yeah, if you guys come. And then I look it up, and I'm like, oh. It's
8 o'clock in the morning, no.
10 o'clock.
That's early, though.
It's 12 o'clock back home game. It's a 10 o'clock game for us. The bars aren't even open out here.
That's
so
crazy.
I'm like, oh, that stinks. But I'll be watching, but it's just a bummer to have a 10 o'clock game. But
it is a bummer.
You got anything else, my friend?
No, I don't.
All right. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. If you like our Eagles Therapy podcast, do us a favor, rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Comment down below your score predictions, what you think about going into this game. And you can email us any of your questions at oureaglestherapy@gmail.com. But other than that, from all of us here at Our Eagles Therapy Podcast, I'm Basil.
And I'm Baz.
Go Birds.
Fly, Eagles, fly.